Hello, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to our council chamber. Just a few things to go through, and the first, and probably one of the important ones, is our prayer. So would you please stand for our prayer? Thank you. Creator and sustainer of all things and all people, you are the source of all wisdom and light. Enlighten our minds to receive your guidance, so that you may lead us into true wisdom. May all that we say and do in the service of this county, whether as elected members or as an officer, be in accordance with your will and for the good of your people. Amen. A little bit of housekeeping. So evacuation procedure. In the event of having to evacuate the council chamber, would everyone leave by one of the two exits at the rear of the chamber? Officers will be on hand to assist any people with disabilities. Mobile phones, may I ask all members who have mobile phones with them to ensure that they are switched off so they will not disturb the meeting. Agenda item number 1, declarations of interest. I invite members who wish to do so to make declarations of interest in respect of items on the agenda for this meeting. I assume that all members will wish to declare a disclosable pecuniary interest in the notice of motion on local government reorganisation. The Corporate Governance Committee on the 23rd of June approved a dispensation for all members to allow them to take part in any discussion and vote on any matter relating to the office they hold at the county council. So all members will be able to stay in the room and vote on this matter. I would remind members that in accordance with Standing Order 2.03, they must act in the capacity to which they were elected to the county council and not speak on behalf of any other local authority whilst acting as a county councillor. Are there any other declarations? Thank you. Agenda item number 2, notice of motion. Local government organisation. Mrs. Taylor, I invite you to move the motion.
Mr. Chairman, fellow councillors, I move the motion on the order paper which addresses the critical issue of local government reorganisation and devolution in Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland. This motion is about ensuring any decisions made are transparent, democratic and in the best interest of our residents. We'd also remember that our main goal for Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland is to achieve a devolution deal with a regional elected mayor for Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland. This will ensure we as an area are treated fairly by the government, with additional funding coming to our area for improvements in transport, skills and jobs. We have lost sight of this goal. Let me take you back to January 2025. In a meeting held online hosted by Melton Borough Council, with representatives from the county, city, Rutland and the districts and boroughs, all the leaders in that meeting were supportive of exploring whether a city expansion was viable. And that was what's submitted to the government to request that our elections were delayed by a year to explore this further. When the County Council was informed that the request to delay our elections was refused by the government, I wrote to the local government minister, Jim McMahon. In his response to me, he was very clear that local government reorganisation, in our case the removal of our two-tier system in the county, is not a prerequisite for pursuing a mayoral devolution deal. Mr McMahon was advised that many areas were aiming to establish mayoral combined county authorities over existing council structures. This response was truly clear to me that we didn't need to reorganise our council structure to achieve a devolution deal across Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland. Remember, this is our end goal for our council and for our residents. I've been clear that since that meeting on the 7th of January and the response that I received from the local government minister, the city expansion was not needed to achieve our end goal of a devolution deal. Also, since that point, further data and evidence became available to me, and it became very clear that a city expansion would mean the county council would become unsustainable. I then instructed the County Council's Chief Executive to produce an interim business case for a one council for Leicestershire. That was what's submitted to the government in March 2025. We are yet to hear, nearly 3 months since Reform UK took minority control of the County Council, what their direction is. I've asked the leader, Mr Harrison, several times what his plans are, and as yet I've received no clear response. This puts the County Council at risk of being done to and not being heard. The leader needs to set out his clear direction of where he is planning to lead this council and hold a public consultation so that it can hear the voices of our residents directly from them. I want to be clear the Conservative group does not support the Rutland and the districts and boroughs North-South City proposals. By not supporting the North-South City proposals, this certainly does not mean we support a city expansion. I've seen several social media posts and leaflets being delivered saying just that. This is simply not true and is misleading for our residents. As I said at the beginning, our decisions need to be transparent, democratic and in the best interests of our residents. This is too serious of an issue to be used as a political football. Let me briefly outline why I urge this chamber to back this motion in 3 key points. This motion requires that any proposals or agreements on devolution and reorganisation be debated and voted on by this full council before submission to the government. This is a matter of democratic principle. Decisions of this magnitude, potentially reshaping governance across our region, must not be made behind closed doors by a select few. A full council vote ensures that every councillor representing every community in Leicestershire has a voice. Scheduling a special meeting in November 2025 provides a clear timeline for this debate, ensuring we act responsibly and transparently. We must also commit to a public consultation, letting residents shape their future. Can we bypass democracy on this issue that will impact generations to come? This motion calls for regular consultation with all the group leaders. This recognises that any submission to the government will require cross-party support to pass this minority-controlled council. Weekly updates from the leader on discussions with Leicester City Council, Rutland County Council and the Borough and District Councils will foster trust and collaboration. We know from the interim plan feedback document and the City Mayor's comments that these discussions are complex and sensitive. By involving all political groups, we ensure that any proposals reflect the diverse views of our county, strengthening our case to the government and avoiding divisive outcomes. Finally, this motion confirms that Leicester County Council does not support expanding Leicester City boundaries. This stance is not about rejecting cooperation, but about safeguarding the distinct identity and needs of our communities. The City Mayor's claim that a boundary review is unarguable may reflect one perspective, but it totally ignores our residents' views. Many residents have moved out of the city into the county, and they certainly have no wish to be moved back into the city against their will. Leicestershire communities, rural, urban and suburban, rely on our current structure to deliver tailored services. By supporting this motion, we send a clear message. Leicestershire's interests must be protected. We have outstanding children's services, good adult services and a well-run council. Leicester City has children and adult services that both require improvements. Why should our residents be pushed into a council with worse performing services? The City Mayor's proposal was called the county to be unsustainable. This is not about cooperation and working together. This is about land grab and council tax grab to prop up a failing council. Our residents say no. Let's not forget the City Mayor has blocked Leicestershire County Councils continually for 7 years in trying to secure a devolution deal for this county. In conclusion, this motion is about accountability, collaboration and protecting our county's future. It ensures that major decisions are made openly with input from all sides and a clear commitment to preserving Leicestershire's unique character. I have urged everyone in this chamber to vote in favour of this motion to uphold democracy, foster unity and defend the interests of our residents, not push them into a city that they do not want to be part of. Thank you, Mr Chairman.
Thank you, Mrs Taylor. Mr Poland, would you like to second that?
Thank you, Mr Chairman. I second this motion and reserve my right to speak.
Thank you. Okay. Would anybody like any questions? Raise any questions at this point?
Anyone else wants to speak?
No.
So we move straight to the amendment.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you. Ms Bottomley.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. It's unclear why this matter is being reopened, as we debated it thoroughly on the 2nd of July. If councillors had aligned their votes with their stated opposition to expansion, we wouldn't be repeating this discussion today. That said, I'm glad we finally seem to be at a point where there's agreement, and I'll be supporting the motion. I want to restate my position clearly. I am firmly opposed to the proposed city expansion. It's undemocratic and it risks cutting local people out of decisions that directly affect them. Big changes like this need proper consultations, not a few quick meetings and decisions handed down from the top. We have had repeated calls and assertions of transparency, particularly from the Reform administration, but too often these words haven't matched actions. We have had mixed messages from the leadership, and too often what is said in here doesn't line up with what is being posted online. That kind of inconsistency just causes confusion and undermines trust. If any party has new proposals or evidence, it should be brought forward through the proper democratic channels, not through rumours, social media or late ambushes. That is not how accountable local government works. We need to make decisions in the proper way, through open, formal discussions like this one, not through social media posts or comment threads. That's how we protect democracy and make sure residents are genuinely involved. I hope we can now move forward with a shared commitment to fairness, transparency and listening properly to the people we represent. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Botley. I'd like to call on Mr Harrison, please. Sorry, we've got Mr Mullaney. Sorry, I didn't see you pop in there.
Thank you, Mr Chair. I stand as leader of the Liberal Democrat group on the County Council to repeat our group's opposition to any expansion of Leicester City into the county. This is our position. Our group has been consistent, continuous and right in taking. We're opposed to city expansion. The Liberal Democrats believe that it will mean residents being dragged into an expanded city that will see their council tax bills rise and their level of services suffer. It will mean the erosion of historic identities and communities. We will support this motion today because we oppose city expansion at every opportunity, so we will support it as well. Now, members may have a feeling of déjà vu meeting here today to discuss a motion opposing Leicester City expansion into the county, because just 4 weeks ago I stood here and put forward a motion which opposed city expansion, something which the Lib Dems, Green and Independent councillor supported. Sadly, the Tourism Reform wouldn't support that motion and they amended it, removing references to opposition to city expansion. And obviously that has been taken as a green light by the Leicester Mayor, which is why we're in the situation we're in. So today we've had to waste money holding another meeting on the subject when just 4 weeks ago people could have either supported my motion, or if they didn't like the fact that it opposed city expansion and opposed one council for Leicestershire, they could have amended it just to oppose city expansion, but they didn't. So now we're here having another meeting. Now, one of the main reasons we oppose city expansion is because we believe that the policy that had been pursued by the previous Conservative administration, and I believe is supported by the current Reform administration, of one authority for Leicestershire, increases the risk of city expansion, because it will create an authority of around 750,000 people in Leicestershire and a very unbalanced 350,000 in Leicester City, giving strength to the Leicester Mayor's arguments to increase the size of the city to make the numbers more even. Now, myself and the boroughs have put forward an alternative suggestion, which is for 3 similarly sized authorities, North, South and the City, each of which would have around similar numbers, 350 to 400,000. It could mean the city boundary staying the same, and it would remove the risk of city expansion. Now, there are 55 councillors in this council chamber. As far as I'm aware, only one has ever publicly called for the expansion of Leicester City, and that is the member who is proposing the motion today, who back on January the 9th, in a press release issued by Leicestershire County Council, which is still there on the website, called for city expansion into the county. And it's ironic today that that member is now proposing a motion opposing it. Now, I welcome the gathering of residents here today. It's good to see people involved in democratic processes. 2 years ago, I demonstrated outside this county chamber with residents opposing the cutting of the 159 bus service for Hinckley's Colville. That's now being restored, so protests can work. But I note in today's Leicester Mercury a headline saying the Tories urge the public to protest against plan for city expansion. It's admirable that the Conservative leader is calling for people to be involved publicly and give their views on this issue. But very much in contrast to January, when the Conservative leader wanted to cancel the county council elections and deny people the right to have a say on city expansion. What a turnaround. In January, publicly, the leader of the Conservatives supported city expansion. Today, they're opposing this city expansion. In July, today, they are calling on people to take to the streets to oppose city expansion. But in January, they were writing to the government asking them to take away the right of people being able to vote in the county council elections on city expansion. What a turnaround. You turn if you want to. The lady is for turning. Leicestershire County Council Liberal Democrats' position, on the other hand, is consistent and clear. We've opposed the city expansion in January when the Conservatives wanted it. We opposed it in the motion I put forward 4 weeks ago. We oppose it today, and we will continue to oppose it in future. City expansion will be a disaster for residents of Leicestershire, and Liberal Democrats will continue to oppose it as we have done.
Thank you, Ms Laney. Mr King, please.
Mr Chairman, Mr Mullaney, there's a lot I could say about that, but I'm not going to get sidetracked. I know you're doing your sales pitch for your district's three authority model, which is interesting because it's not about that. So the reason why I'm speaking is that I support this motion, and as we've seen earlier today, so do quite a few of our residents. In the Gartree division, which I've now the honour to represent, there are a great many villages and hamlets which adjoin the boundary of Oadby Wigston, which the map contained in the City Mayor's interim submission shows as being swallowed up either in whole or part. That's Great Glen, Stretton, Newton Harcourt, Golby, Burton Overy, Carlton Curlew. That's just to mention a few. Thousands of residents and scores of businesses across my division are highly concerned at the lack of leadership from the county leader on this matter. Many of them have joined thousands of others and signed the petition objecting to any expansion of the city into the county. People have told me that they are deeply concerned that the tax and spend culture endemic at the City Council concerns them. A great many used to live, as the opposition leader said, Mrs Taylor, used to live in the city and chose to move to the county away from the politics of divide and rule. And I still haven't really heard any compelling argument so far as to why the city should be expanded. In Minister McMahon's letters, he tells us we must ensure that whatever the final plan is, we must make sure the city is financially viable. No, Minister. Your Labour Party colleagues at City Hall have driven that council into the ground. They cannot be bailed out by a council tax smash and grab on our county residents using the cloak of LGR. We only have to look at the, as epitomised by the recent Employment Tribunal ruling against the City Council, which is likely to incur residents there substantial increases in council tax. The other reason is land or living space. Again, the City Mayor and Leicester Labour Party have failed to properly maximise redevelopment potential of hundreds of brownfield sites across the city to create a truly modern city landscape. Instead, they want to export their housing need to us in the Shire to carpet over hundreds, no, thousands of acres of prime Leicestershire green fields with tarmac and concrete. Why should our residents have to pay the price for their failures? These are the reasons I am supporting this motion, and this is the reason why I am not supporting the city expansion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr King. Mr Bloxham.
Thank you. I don't think there's a single member in the chamber who actually wants to see the city expand at the expense of the county. City council tax is higher, its services are badly run, and as everybody's saying, it's on the verge of financial ruin. We all know that, and we've all spoken to residents who are desperate not to be swallowed up by the city. But let's be clear, this whole scheme has been cooked up and is controlled by the Labour government in London. The feedback on the interim proposal specifically talks about the financial disaster in the city and says that plans need to address it. If we ignore that, our plan isn't going to be accepted. The feedback also talks about the housing supply and says that plans need to address that. Now, it's all very well saying the county shouldn't bail the city out, but we live in a world that's real, not in a world of wishful thinking. We are going to have to bail the city out. That's just a fact to some extent. If we ignore that, our plan isn't going to be accepted. Labour are going to make the final decision, so for the members opposite to say that we can prevent boundary changes is either hopelessly naive or cynical, dishonest point scoring. The choice is not between no boundary change or the city plan. If we stand our ground on boundary changes, the city plan will win by default and half the county is going to be swallowed up. I'm surprised we're even discussing that aspect. This is going to be a disaster. The only option is to negotiate for a smaller boundary change, which will protect most of the county and give up as little as possible. Reform is taking the realistic approach here and doing what's best for the county. And I hope that the members opposite can put aside theatrics and, again, point scoring and support us in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Bloxham. Mr Charlesworth, please.
Thank you. I've no political axe to grind here. I'm driven by what the residents want. And from what I've gathered from my residents in East Wigston, they have no desire for change at all. I don't support the city expansion on their behalf, nor the county's proposal. They're even lukewarm on the North City South proposal. Sir Peter Soulsby's been no friend to my residents over the years. He seems intent on building office blocks, hotels and student accommodation at the expense of housing for his own residents. Shame on him. I will support this motion. I'm disappointed what the member just speaking has said. There's going to be compromise somewhere along the line. I wish this whole thing went away. It won't solve any problems, but I wish it would. I really do think the residents need to be the driving force behind this. We need proper consultation and we need a referendum. Let them decide on what they would like. It's always top-down driven in this country. The Labour government will probably get its own way in the end, but not without a bloody hard fight from me and my residents.
Thank you, Mr Charlesworth. Mr Page.
Mr Chairman, members, I strongly support this motion. Whilst my division of Market Harborough, West and Foxton isn't directly affected by city expansion, we're all affected. But I want to take a moment to mark this historic occasion. It's not every day you see the leader of Leicestershire County Council willingly wander into political quicksand, dragging the dignity of this council and the interests of our residents down with him. Yet it appears that Mr Harrison, who was elected to defend the county, has been, not so secretly, trying to strike a backroom deal of some kind with none other than the Red Knight of the city of Leicester, Sir Peter Soulsby. Now, a deal that would concede vast swathes of our county, residents and businesses who want nothing to do with the city of Leicester. And for what? Nobody knows. And more to the point, nobody was told. There's no economic case. There's no democratic mandate. No consultation with the people who elected us. No vote in this chamber. Just secrecy, silence, and the growing sense that something is being done to Leicestershire, not for it. Let's not pretend otherwise. This is not strategy, it's surrender. This is not vision, it's capitulation. This is not leadership, it's abdication. We've heard from Sir Peter Soulsby loudly. He's made it perfectly clear. The city of Leicester can't make ends meet. So the answer? Grab a few 100,000 extra council taxpayers from the surrounding county. That's the plan. A fiscal raid barely disguised as reform. And unfortunately, it's possible our leader has been quietly negotiating away our boundaries like some modern-day Chamberlain in the hope that he can satisfy the hunger of the ravenous Sir Peter. We've watched the boroughs and districts march out of their misguided North City-South concept, another bureaucratic fantasy with no coherence and no public support designed merely to give Liberal Democrats a future. But what I ask you, have we heard from the County Council under Mr. Harrison's leadership? Yep, you heard it. That is quite unmistakable. Nothing. Absolute silence. A deafening silence. It's outrageous that on something this serious, this consequential, the leader of the County Council has remained mute. No advocacy, no defence of our boundaries, no leadership. It's weak. It's abdication, frankly, it's resignation territory. So again I ask, what was Mr. Harrison offered in return? Perhaps it was a cushy little title from Salisbury's friend in Downing Street, perhaps. But I hear they're not good friends anymore. So perhaps our leader has been led up the garden path with an empty promise. But seriously, it's hard to fathom. But surrendering parts of this county without scrutiny, without consent, and without courage surely must come with some kind of reward. This isn't reform or devolution, it's annexation by stealth. And we were not elected to help the City of Leicester expand. We were elected to protect the residents and businesses of Leicestershire. And that is exactly what we intend to do. That is why we have brought the leader, embarrassingly, kicking and whinging into this chamber today, to demand that Mr. Harrison immediately renounces any understanding, any handshakes, any surrender he's quietly negotiated with the Red Knight. And from today, if this motion passes, he'll have no option but to stand up for the people of this county by joining his cabinet. Oh, and thanks very much to several of you who actually liked a couple of my posts on this subject. I'm very appreciative of that. Joining you, Mr. Chairman, you also liked one of my posts, I believe, and joining the majority of councillors in this chamber in resoundingly declaring that Leicestershire will not surrender a single inch, not a field, not a village, not a parish, to that profligate disaster, that model of socialist nirvana, which is the City of Leicester. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Page. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wasn't actually going to speak on this, so I haven't written a speech or anything, but I do feel compelled to speak because I do support this motion. Like many colleagues in the chamber, I spent the first half of this year campaigning heavily, knocking on people's doors and speaking to residents. And up in northwest Leicestershire, I'll be bluntly honest, it wasn't something that came up an awful lot. Perhaps that's because we are geographically quite remote and away from the direct effects of what would happen with a Leicester City expansion. Now, I do know my colleagues around the room had the total opposite. It was the most prevalent issue on the doorstep. And that's perhaps why the leader maybe doesn't realise the significance of this decision, because obviously he's appointed 6 of his 9 cabinet from northwest Leicestershire, so I'd imagine they got a very similar response to me. But also there's been a petition now signed by just shy of 8,000 people, just 50 people off that in fact as well. So again, the strength of this motion is so important to people, and I've never seen this many people at a public meeting either, which is a really good thing to see as well. Now, obviously the leader has had opportunity through position statements at the last 2 council meetings to tell and inform members of this council what his plans are for local government reform. Obviously he's chosen not to do that. He didn't even have a position statement at the last full council, the first time in my 4 years that no leader has actually done so. So how else can the leader speak to the people of Leicestershire and inform them of what the ruling authority are doing? Well, I just so happen to have a copy of Leicestershire Matters, just gone through every doorstep, every letterbox rather, in Leicestershire. So I'd like to ask Mr. Harrison, where on, out of any of the pages really, 16 pages, does it mention local government reform? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. O'Shea. Where is he? Is he here?
Thank you, Chair.
There you are, sorry.
Well, I, like my colleague here, are very concerned about the proposals that are going on by Peter Salisbury. And you can see by the residents here today, they're very concerned. My ward abuts Glenfield, which, if reform support Peter Salisbury, will go to the city. We cannot afford to lose those residents. Our council tax is important to this community of Leicestershire. We cannot afford to lose that council tax base to the city. But the people of Leicestershire need our protection from the city taking away their rights. Because, let's be about right, the city is in a financial problem. All they want from us is land so that they can build houses, more council tax bases, and take council tax to build up their prop the city. Now, residents from my ward during the election brought up the subject and was very concerned. They was very concerned that Ratby and Gruby could be encompassed as well as Glenfield, which is next door. We as a council, all 55 of us, owe it to our community to protect them from the land grab of the city. They didn't move to the county to be in the city. I moved from the city to come to the county 38 years ago. My council tax in the city halved when I came to the county. You know, they do not want to live in the city, they want to live in the county. That's why we all moved to the county, because it's a better place to be. So I urge you, members today, to support our motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Shea. Mr. Meyer.
I've been on this council now just shy over 16 years, so I've seen all the grandstanding and I've seen all the passionate speeches and I've learnt from them as well. But I've also in that time seen a Conservative government asset strip this council in funding over the past 14, 15 years they were in government. And I saw the Liberal Democrats sit on their hands as the coalition government that they were part of, asset strip funding as well from it. And no protests and nothing against those particular governments were ever aired in this chamber. But also, I am a bit miffed why we're here today on the 30th of July, when a few weeks ago 4 weeks ago I believe, we had a meeting here, which unfortunately I couldn't attend because I was at the LGA conference, but we had a meeting where this was discussed and aired. And I'm a bit miffed that we didn't come to a conclusion there on it. And I did point out to the leader of the opposition at an event that we attended that, hold on, you know, you just voted for the city expansion or whatever the last amendment was by default by not opposing it. And I think that the penny dropped, and here we are 4 weeks later with a Conservative amendment and motion here. And I do feel sorry for Mr. Harrison and his party. And I'm not a reform apologist at all, and I know I've had to go at them on social media quite a bit, but he's just taken over, a couple of months ago on that one, and there's a lot to take on. And local government reorganisation is a big, big topic. And he's been, in the leaders' meeting I've attended, he's been open and honest and has been straightforward with all the leaders on reorganisation as well. So this shouldn't be an opportunity to beat up the reform administration minority that they might be, because this is a big topic that encompasses not just Leicestershire but all two-tier councils across the country. So, you know, a bit of balance. You know, it's easy to have a go at the Labour government. It's easy to have a go at the city mayor because he's not here to defend him and his authority. But he's doing exactly what you're doing. He's looking after his residents and what he thinks is the priority for his residents. And something somebody mentioned about housing and council tax and all the rest of it. Housing, let's be honest, for the last 15 years before 2023, or 13 years, most of the districts were led either by Conservatives or Liberal Democrat. So all those house building that's happened in that 13 or 14 years, they've been leading it. And the tens of thousands of houses that have happened in the county, it's because they've agreed to it and they've allowed it to happen. So now to have a go at the city mayor to say actually all he wants is housing, when you and your administrations in the past have built tens of thousands of houses on the green belt of Leicestershire, that's a bit cumbersome, as they say. But let's bring a bit of balance. So what's the government asking? The government's asking through the English Devolution and White Paper that it intends to abolish, in effect, two-tier government, so counties and shire districts, and it wants to form them into unitaries. But it's asked us, as local leaders, as the elected representatives, to put forward those proposals of how those governments, how those councils should be. It didn't ask anybody to say it should be X, Y or Z models. It's up to us to agree. However, I think in this motion, what we do is we're restricting the ability of Leicestershire County Council to get the best deal for Leicestershire. And I think one of my colleagues over there mentioned actually it might be inevitable that the government decide that an expanded city is the way forward. And it might be that if we don't have a say in that, as a Leicestershire County Council, more of the county go into the city than that we would have liked. But by then it would be too late. So I'm of the view that we negotiate with Sir Peter Salisbury. That's not to say that we expand the city boundary, but we open those negotiations and we allow the administration to open those negotiations and then come back to this chamber and say, actually, this is what the outcome has been, rather than saying now no to city expansion. So on this matter, sir, I'm not going to be voting for the amendment. Thank you. For the motion, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Mr. Grimley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's good to see so many members of the public here today, and particularly those from my division of Burstall as well. There are very strong feelings in my division about this. Obviously, we are close to the city centre. Just to also add that a lot of residents did want to come today, but because of the timing of the meeting, a lot are at work today. So had this been in the evening, there would have been a lot more. So that's good. I mean, I personally previously lived in Leicester city centre. I've just seen decades of overspending by the Leicester City Council, by the Labour administration there. They've got to a stage now that they are virtually bankrupt. I think that's that's a fair comment. They are teetering. And not only that, is that the level of service in Leicester City is getting considerably worse. I was speaking to a resident of Leicester City yesterday, and they were saying even in the last few years it's deteriorated very heavily, and they're not getting their roads swept or anything like they used to maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and rubbish is building up there because, quite frankly, Leicester City Council doesn't have the money to look after their residents. I mean, they are spending a lot of money on defending equality claims. I don't know the full ins and outs of that, but that's certainly going to have a big effect on them. I mean, the vast majority of the residents in my division that I've spoken to during the election are completely against this land grab by Sir Pete. I think I mentioned before, only one resident contacted me saying they were for, and they were actually work for one of the city council departments. So that's not too surprising. So I'm obviously going to be I'm obviously for this motion and against any expansion of Leicester City into our villages. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimley. Mrs. Page, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Now, we've heard all about the mayor. We have heard all about that monies have been wasted, and we've heard all of the connotations. But for me, it's quite simple. It is one united Leicestershire. We all work together for the benefit of our residents. And today it should not be about political grandstanding or anything like that. It should be about sending a message to the government, to anybody else, that people want to be heard, people want this to be transparent, people might want a referendum, but most of all, people want to maintain the services. Now, for some of us who've been here for a long time, we know how difficult it has been to work with being underfunded and delivering one of the best service and being one of the best authority in all of England. We have delivered a service to the most vulnerable all across Leicestershire. Now, it's quite simple. You take a tax base out, that the rates of some houses, we will have less money to deliver services to the vulnerable. For everybody else who is struggling already with paying a lot of council tax, those council taxes will be increased. But we still won't have enough money, even if we're going for a north or south, because then you need another administration for either one. Administration costs a lot of money. And if you spend all of this money on administration, you're back to square one. You're losing money to the city, you're losing money on administration costs, and who misses out? It's all of us. I've been elected to represent the people who have elected me, to make sure that vulnerable and services are protected. So I'm here today and I'm voting for this motion to hope that our voices will be heard. But most of all, what I like to see going forward, we are talking about north, south, this and the other. What we need is a financial case. And I think the leader should have asked for a financial case to look what it costs to deliver the service, what will happen if a council tax base gets moved to the city, or indeed what it would cost if you have two administration for a north and south. So without that, going forward would be very difficult. But the fact remains, I'm here to have our voices heard, to make sure that everybody has their say and that we will not give in to Mr. Sir Peter Salisbury for his own, well, whatever he wants. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Page. Okay, Mr. Poland, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As has been said, local government reorganisation is something that will not just affect us, but will affect residents in our county for decades to come. It is vital we get this right, that we get a structure of local government which not only works for the people of Leicestershire, but reflects the people and is economically sustainable to ensure any new authority survives and thrives for Leicestershire residents long after the last of us here has retired, voluntarily or otherwise, from local politics. The Conservative group is firmly of the view that the best form of authority to achieve those goals is one council for the whole of Leicestershire. A North and South Leicestershire model would mean doubling costs, 2 chief executives, 2 sets of directors, 2 lots of staff, etc., compared to a single Leicestershire council. It would involve splitting up high-performing departments, such as adults and communities and the children and family services. It wouldn't be any more local for people than a one Leicestershire model would be, as, for example, North Leicestershire council area would be over 40 miles wide, but would put places like Anstey and Glenfield, just 2 miles apart, in different authorities to one another. The North-South model would cost more, be less effective, and ultimately deliver poorer outcomes for Leicestershire taxpayers than the one Leicestershire model would do. That is why we could not support the motion as tabled by the Liberal Democrat group at the last meeting. We reject completely the notion put out since that time that a plan that divides Leicestershire down the middle is the same as supporting the city expansion. It isn't, it wasn't, and those who suggest otherwise are simply doing so to mislead the public for party political gain. To me, it is crystal clear any expansion of the city would lead to worse outcomes for our residents. The transfer of hundreds of thousands of people into the city, along with the loss of some of the county's commercial heartlands, such as Foss Park, to the city, would leave what remains of Leicestershire with a massive question mark over its financial viability. It would make the financial situation of this council, or the successor council, already extremely difficult, potentially impossible, and that's services for our residents, that's care for our elderly, that is support for our children, which would all suffer as a result. The voices of our residents need to be heard clearly in this debate too. Many thousands of people have signed an online petition calling for no expansion of the City of Leicester. I'm aware thousands more have signed another petition also rejecting the expansion of the city started by county MPs. People are clear that they live in the county, they want to remain in the county, and they don't want to be dragged into the city against their will, where taxes are higher, services are poorer, and priorities are different. How many of us here were elected on pledges to oppose city expansion? How many of us here are truly listening to what thousands of our residents are saying to us? I am listening, I hear them, and I will do everything in my power to ensure no Leicestershire residents are swallowed up by a city expansion that none of us want. Colleagues, if you are elected on a pledge to oppose the city expansion, if you are listening to what our residents are telling us, then please vote for this motion today, and together we will ensure deeply concerned residents have a democratic voice in us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poland. Mr. Harrison, I believe you have an amendment.
Yes, I do, Mr. Chairman. Well, it's been a great afternoon of grandstanding and waving flags, but what are we really doing for the people of Leicestershire? That's the key. No, we'll deal with that. I'm moving the amendment, and this amendment calls for a referendum for all of Leicestershire over the reorganisation. So that's the point I want to make, so everybody there at the back can understand. If you want democracy, that's what we're attempting to do. Move that. But let me deal now with some of the other elements here. First of all, this is only a few months ago where Deborah Taylor signed an agreement to go to government offering whatever Peter Salisbury wanted. It's there. You can see the contents of it, the districts would the contiguous urban area of Leicester, restricting Leicester City's growth potential. It's all there. She's done that a few months ago. Now she's appealing to you because the wave of change is coming about. Now, she's also said, I've never spoke to her or talked to her about the change. Well, we have spoken, and I have explained, and I'm grateful to Councillor Jewell for his openness and honesty. Of course I've met the leaders, I've spoke to them. But what she wants is very good for her. She sat in my room with another person present, and I said, well, why do you want this cost? It's between £5,000 and £7,000, I'm told, officially. That's what I've been told by officers.
So a point of order has to relate to an issue in the standing orders. So you need to... Okay, well, there's a point of order or a point of personal explanation which the speaker would make if they made a mistake in what they were saying. I don't think either of those apply to the points that you're making at the moment.
No, right, okay. Thank you very much indeed. That's wonderful. So there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of waving around and letting all these wonderful people here from Leicestershire think that they're fighting for them. But they're doing it blindly. Because if you believe, as Deborah Taylor did a few months ago, that the city will expand, and I think it will. Now, there's two ways it can happen, and I'm being honest and open with you. there's only two ways it could happen. Is if we agree, and that's what I've been doing, talking. We're now preparing a modelling programme. She knows all about it. I've told her in detail how we'll do things. That should give us some sort of indication by, say, September, early September. We would then be able to look at what he's really talking about and what this really means to Leicestershire. The other is, we do nothing. So what they're saying in this motion, you sit on your hands, you do nothing. You don't talk to anybody. That's a great way of, in this modern world where we are trying to negotiate, we talk, we have realistic conversations, we understand each other's needs and problems. No, she doesn't want that. She doesn't want to talk. She wanted to talk and do it all here, and it's there for people to catch later. You can see it. So a few months ago, she was thinking one way. A few months later, she's thinking, oh, I'll have to look after my residents now. I'm thinking of the election coming, or whatever's happening. I'm not doing that. I'm doing this for Leicestershire. I am trying to defend our future. These people would just sit back and say, let government decide. And believe me, a Labour mayor, a Labour minister, who do you think is going to get the best deal out of that? We're not even there, because you've silenced me. You don't want me to talk. You don't want me to negotiate, because we could understand. Now remember, the negotiations would come back to this council, this chamber. It wouldn't be me doing the deal as all these speakers are suggesting, backroom deals. It can't be a backroom deal. It would come to this chamber and these councillors to make a decision. Now, I support that as opposed to ignoring them and letting them get on and make their own decisions. At least we know. Leicestershire, which shocked me really, I didn't think it would be so, the largest city in the East Midlands. I thought it'd be Nottingham, it's not. And it sits on the smallest footprint. So you've got the largest city on a small footprint. Something will happen. I'm trying to control that on your behalf. I'm not giving anything away. I've got no power to give anything away. The giving away is the people over here who don't want to say anything, don't want to know. Having wanted to give it all away, and now they're quite happy just to sit quiet and do nothing. Well, I oppose that. I really do. I think if we follow that line of non-negotiation, non-talking to somebody, how are we going to get a good outcome? Or do you believe in leaving it to government as they want, because they don't want to make a decision? She's already made one decision to give it away. Now she's frightened because she's worried about her electorate and how she's positioned herself. Remember, she used to stand here. Now she stands over there. And that's the people's decision. And the people's decision want action. They want trust. They want to know what's happening. Now, do you want to know? Well, then you need to support me. And I won't let you down. And I'm looking at the residents, but I'm also looking at what's happening here. Because people have said, well, let's have a referendum. That's the amendment to it. Have a referendum. Let's see how brave they are to go for a referendum, other than following the same old lines. It's your choice. So amongst these members here today, let the public realise who you are and what you are. We have, pardon? Oh, sorry, I thought somebody said. We have this short timeline.
Can you summarise, please?
Pardon?
Can you just finish, summarise?
Right, okay. So it's very simple. You can follow that end that don't want to do anything, sit on their hands. I would sooner be there on your behalf trying to defend Leicestershire. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison.
Thank you.
Mr. Squires, would you like to second the amendment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I'd be absolutely delighted to second this amendment. This genius amendment, actually, from Councillor Harrison. This is a tremendous democratic and common sense proposal. It does something utterly radical in modern politics. It gives the people a say. It puts Leicestershire people first. Now, let's be absolutely clear. Organisation is happening, whether we like it or not. It isn't optional. It's being driven by central Labour government, and it's a ministerial decision. It isn't our decision, whichever way we vote today. We've all known this for quite some time. But isn't it funny? There's only one councillor in this room who has supported a city expansion, and I think I'm looking at her, and there's Mr. Smith whispering in her ear. You know, it's the leader of the opposition, Councillor Deborah Taylor, who would have thought. Now, when she was acting leader, she supported the city boundary expansion. You've just heard her deny it, but we've all got copies of the paper. They're available to any of the public that want to see them. We've printed them all off. They're all here. All right. So it's there for anyone to see. It's undeniable. So, you know, there was no call for a referendum, no opposition to the idea, no plan, not a peep, because it suited them. They played with fire and risked our beautiful county because it suited them politically. So now, when I see Councillor Taylor calling an extraordinary meeting to oppose her own proposal, well, it's certainly extraordinary. It's either a case of jaw-dropping political backtracking or the most shameless U-turn in the history of local government. Frankly, probably worse than U-turn Keir Starmer. You can't light a fire and then complain about the heat. And, Mr. Chairman, it gets even more farcical. She's actually organised a protest to protest against the thing that she's originated, can you believe? You couldn't really make it up. It's pure theatre politics, and it has cost, from the information we're given, between £5,000 and £7,000. That's not leadership, that's an abomination, and those are the figures we got from the officers. Now let's contrast that with our amendment. This is the grown-up approach. It asks for one simple thing: let the people decide. They clearly want to, they're all here today. You know, why not? Unlike the opposition, we don't flip-flop when it suits us politically. We don't fear public opinion, we respect it. And I'd like to thank all members of the public for attending and protesting. However, we are actually in support of you. Reform has your back every step of the way. In fact, I'd probably call you supporters rather than protesters, but there we are. But on a serious note, we've been told we have to submit a proposal by November. That's the deadline. And let's be honest, if we don't agree a plan, the Minister will impose one. And what could that mean? We've all seen the map. It's on Leicestershire Live. Places like Blaby, Harborough, Oadby, Wigston, Charnwood, Burnstall, even Anstey. All of these could be sucked into the city if we don't act. It would be a disaster. So if reorganisation is to be forced upon us, then we must be prepared. We oppose it strongly, but we must also prepare for all eventualities. That's only the responsible thing to do. We must fight for every inch of the county. We must be honest with the public and transparent about the facts. This can't be based on party politics. We believe the best model is simple. 2 unitary authorities, very similar to what we have now. One for the city, one for the county. Let's keep Leicestershire together. But we're not going to get there without some serious modelling, grown-up discussions between councillors of this chamber and of the city. We must fight for our beautiful county. This amendment is the responsible path forward. It's pro-democracy, pro-transparency, pro-accountability, it's pro-Leicestershire. All the things the opposition used to claim to stand for. So let's not follow them into chaos and contradiction. It's time to pass the genius amendment. Let's take this issue to the people. Let's protect Leicestershire. Now, unfortunately, Mr. Mullaney has stolen my line here, but I was going to say, the Iron Lady famously once said, the lady's not for turning. Well, Mr. Chairman, it appears that Dithering Deborah is for turning.
Thank you, Mr. Squires. I'm going to open up for discussion now across the floor. So it's obviously discussions on the amendment, please. Mr. Mullaney.
Yes, I'm responding for our group on this. But before I come on to the amendment, I just want to pick up on a point that Mr Mayor made earlier on, and that's about district councils under our two parties' controls allowing lots and lots of house building. I think the point I would make to him in return to that is that most district councils over the years have had to give away land that many people would sooner not give away because of successive governments imposing more and more housing on us. I think people in our communities accept that we have to deliver our share of the housing big picture, if you like. What they do not accept is the thousands and thousands of extra homes we're having to take because of the failure of the Labour administration in the city failing to take their fair share. Now, moving on to the amendment itself. My group are opposing this amendment, primarily because it calls for a two-unitary model, and we are consistent in our approach that we do not believe that a Birmingham-style mega-council is best for our residents, and we want smaller councils that are more in touch with our communities. But also, the amendment, in its very woolly language, doesn't rule out city expansion, which again, there is no mandate for, and I do not believe people outside the city support being included in the city. So we will be voting against the amendment. The part of the amendment I do find attractive, however, is the referendum bit, and I've made speeches in Hinckley saying exactly the same. But this is just gesture politics, because all you are doing is saying in the amendment that you will write to the government to request a referendum. Now, I support you doing that. Good on you. Good luck to you. But we know what the answer is, because local government reform has gone on across the country in various places, and there has never been a referendum. The government has already set out its, in my view, rather pathetic consultation that it is going to do on it, but they've not stated anywhere in the process that there will be a referendum. Now, what the leader could do, if he was really serious about this, is to commit the county council to holding a referendum. In short, put your money where your mouth is if you want a referendum on this. So, the other thing that I'm confused about is Mr Harris, the leader, in his comments said that this will come back to this council. Well, the amendment says in his last paragraph that this is a cabinet decision. So is it coming to the council or is it coming to the cabinet? Now, of course, what is a council decision, of course, is the appointment of the leader and therefore the cabinet. And what the council giveth, the council can taketh away. And what I would say is, if you proceed along the lines of taking this council down a path that the majority of the council does not support, I give you notice now that I should be putting a confidence motion to this council to remove you.
Thank you, Mr Bray. Mr King.
Thank you, Chairman, and I find myself agreeing a little bit with Mr Bray there, which is a very strange sensation to feel that. So don't get too excited. I don't agree with everything he says, just on a couple of things. But you're all very interesting theatre from Mr Squires and Mr Harrison. Reminded me of the comic and Desperate Dan, because it is a bit of a comical situation, really. Because a few weeks ago, when we had the Scrutiny Commission and we had to have a special scrutiny meeting, because the leader decided that the most pressing, the most important issue in Leicestershire is what flag waves outside the building. What flag waves in the courtyard. What an absolute travesty. What a waste. What a waste of time and energy was devoted to that. When the number one priority, the number one issue in your inbox should have been LGR. So when you had, 4 weeks ago, a couple of colleagues have mentioned, you did not come to the council and present a leader's statement. You gave us zip, nothing. So we could not ask you a single question, make a single point about what's going on. Now we all know, those of us who sit on other authorities, that there are secret discussions going on, that there are conversations between the district leaders, between yourselves and the city, but no one will admit to it. No one will go on the record. We've asked for the notes of the meeting. We're told there aren't any notes of these meetings. I find that incredulous, that on such an important matter, there are no notes of these meetings that anyone can produce and say, well, actually, this is what we discussed, this was what was minuted. Now, it's all a bit of theatre, and you all waved a bit of paper earlier, reminiscent, I mean, silly thing really, because the council was instructed to write to the government, by the government, you need to do this. Mrs Taylor, whether she wanted to or not, had got no choice about that. I'm sure she's got plenty to say about it when she speaks in a bit. But I'm not going to support this amendment. I mean, even if you did decide to hold a referendum, the government in the guidance on LGR has already said that if you hold a local referendum, it will carry no weight whatsoever. It will have no decision-making impact on how they view anything. The important thing is the consultation, which while the districts have been getting on and doing their consultation, we, as the County Council, still haven't actually commissioned our consultation, even on our interim proposal that we put in March. So we're still, we're behind the curve, and that you're talking about modelling and everything else going on. And then finally, as has already been mentioned, as I understood, this is a decision of the Cabinet and the leader to make on LGR. It's not a full council decision, but obviously if you wish to make it a full council decision, I'm sure we would be very delighted to do that. But where it is at the moment, this is a mess of your making. You've walked us into an ambush by the city mayor. He knows what he wants. He's wanted it a long time, and what you've done is just facilitating that for him to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. Ms. Butler.
Thank you, Chair. So, coming inexperienced, I've been a councillor for nearly 3 months now. You're talking about what this reorganisation is going to look like, but have you actually stopped to ask whether local people even want a reorganisation in the first place? I think you'll find people are concerned that reorganisation will strip power away from local communities. They don't buy the idea that it's going to save money, and frankly, neither do I. And this is why I'm supporting a referendum. We need to ask what they want, and we need to support what they choose. And I know you're saying that the government's not going to listen to what Leicestershire are saying, but we can listen to what they're saying, and we can go down that route. We're all saying what we think they want, but we're not actually asking them. And you're saying that, look, we can ask the government, but they'll say no. But we should still ask them. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Butler. Mr. Bowman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to support the amendment in the name of the leader. When we had a debate on this very issue on the 2nd of July, the Conservative group supported our amendment against the Lib Dems, and I applaud them for that. But to spring an unnecessary and costly meeting of this county council to debate a motion that will effectively tie our hands in our future negotiations with government is an appalling position to be in. To get the best result for Leicestershire, we need skin in the game. It means taking the tough decisions needed to achieve the best outcomes for residents. If this motion is passed unamended, I'm afraid that decisions that will affect us all for the next generation and beyond will be imposed upon us by this Labour government. This amendment allows to avoid that and keeps our options open. That's called leadership, and I urge everyone to support this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman. Mr. Bottingley, please. Sorry.
Thank you, Chair. While I applaud the desire to involve residents on such a significant issue, I find the wording and intent of this amendment troubling. It claims to value public input, yet simultaneously consolidates power by framing the final submission as solely a matter for Cabinet. This is not just inconsistent, it's contradictory. In fact, it's smoke and mirrors. It's also worth pointing out that this amendment is at odds with what some Reform councillors have been saying on social media. They have repeatedly claimed to oppose any expansion, yet here they are, amending a motion and removing any clear opposition to it. You can't have it both ways. If you're opposed, say so and do so. Don't do one thing in the council chamber and claim another online. If we are genuinely committed to transparency and democratic engagement, then any decisions about the future of our local governance must involve broader input, including from elected councillors and the communities we represent, not just cabinet members behind closed doors. Furthermore, by preemptively endorsing a two-unitary model, the amendment appears to close off open debate before all evidence and perspectives have been fully explored. That undermines the very public engagement and informed discussions it claims to support. We cannot claim to consult residents while actively sidelining the voices of their representatives. If this process is to be credible, it starts with ensuring all councillors have a say. Respectfully, the Reform administration needs to stop kicking the can down the road. Leadership means enabling open dialogue, not controlling it. Therefore, I cannot support this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bottomley. Mr. Meyer, please.
The cost of the extraordinary meeting, and actually I don't agree. I think that's the politics of it, you know, and that's what our constitution allows. And if the leader of the opposition and other councillors have sufficient support for the meeting, it should go ahead. It doesn't matter about the cost, because the cost, that is the cost of democracy, and having our collective voices of our residents heard, and as you can see, it's well supported by Leicestershire residents as well. So I don't take that on board as well. I don't think the referendum is going to work either, unfortunately. I think the government have clearly said that they are the ones that are going to consult on any proposals that they sign off next year, and I think the outline timetable is they get the November proposals in, they're going to consult with people up to May next year, and then they will let us know what's going to happen. In that dialogue that we've had with government, there isn't any scope or room for a referendum. And I think that's a reform thing. I think they have touted that in a few other areas as well. I think Lancashire is one that springs to mind. But it's a costly exercise as well. Can you imagine how much it will cost to put a full election into Leicestershire on a point that ultimately the government might just ignore, as they say. And I also don't agree with the two county and the city model. I think I've made that clear in another role. However, as a county councillor and as a Leicestershire county councillor, I've never been convinced of a two model. I'm open to it in respect that if the evidence is there and we can have a look at it, but nothing's been presented as of yet. So I look forward to the Reform administration bringing something forward here as well. But the key thing, I think, is having proposals to be able to debate here. And if the leader is saying that he's going to bring it back to here instead of cabinet, I welcome that, as Mr. King has said. But the thing is wherever it goes and whatever the decision's made, time's running out. November is only around the corner. We're in August, all but, and before you know it, will be November, and we'll be having debates on what we should and shouldn't submit. The problem is that I believe other models are way advanced. I don't know what the city is going to propose for their consultation, but they must be certainly advanced. So we need the administration to come forward and say, this is what we are proposing to put forward before government. What are your thoughts on it? And then that's when we can all feed back. But I can't support this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Mrs. Page, please.
Thank you, Chairman. For over an hour, we have been sitting in this chamber and trying to score political points. Now, at the end of the day, we should be looking at what is best for our residents. And I repeat that. Now, the point of saying that we have got control over this, no, we haven't got control over this. At the end of the day, there are 450 Labour MPs, and they can sell us to China if they'd wanted to. So, whatever we do, we have very little control at the end of the day. But what we can do is here, we can join together, stand together for the best of the residents of Leicestershire. And rather than going on about wasting money with this meeting, I think this meeting was brilliant. We heard what the residents wanted. We can send a message. We get media coverage. Now, this is a message we can send to government, to our MPs, to make sure that we in Leicestershire are being heard. So can we get on with being united to represent our residents rather than political goal scoring? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Page. Mr. Grimley, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we did call this meeting, but we did call it after the City Mayor, Sir Peter Salisbury, basically let the cat out of the bag about discussions that had been taking place with himself and the leader of the County Council, of which hadn't been reported to the Council in a position statement or anything like that a few days before that. So, you know, I think it was, that's certainly a bit frustrating. We could have looked at this a bit more at the last meeting. No position statement. Okay, we are where we are. But I think this is one of these things that is very important to the residents of Leicestershire, particularly important to the residents of my areas and lots of other areas. And to be quite frank, they see this more important than flying flags and having meetings about flags. So this is really important meeting. Just picking up on other comments, a referendum would be great, but the LGA have said this will carry no weight. So this is a fact of the matter. But we did have a sort of referendum in May. I was elected by my local residents because they did not want to see the expansion of Leicester City into my area. And that's what my residents want. I don't need a referendum. The vast majority of residents in my area are completely opposed to this. So, I don't see the real point of a referendum when people have been elected on the basis of against the city expansion. So that's really all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimley. Mr. Poland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can I start by saying I think it's a disgrace that this amendment was put before the Council today with no notice whatsoever. There is nothing in this amendment that couldn't have been tabled a week ago. And if the leader was serious about getting cross-party support, why didn't he engage with us when we had time to read it instead of us trying to speed read at the start of the debate? That's not serious politics. That's political game scoring. And I think in the Constitution, it talks about 2 days. Now, I appreciate there's a discretion being used, but for me, there is nothing in here that couldn't have been done 48 hours ago, and I think that's wrong. I want to say that first of all. Second of all, this amendment is a very, very clear attempt to dilute the issue at hand. We are completely opposed on this side to any expansion of the city. Residents are overwhelmingly against being dragged into the city against their will. And this amendment does not support them. And now it has been confirmed today, neither does the county's leader. Mr. Squires said in his speech, we must fight for our beautiful county. I agree. It is an incredibly beautiful place that I love dearly. Is Quedinburgh beautiful, Mr. Squires? Is Syston? Is the historical centre of Glenfield? Those places, Birstall, down by the river in Birstall, is a truly beautiful place. All of these places that will be taken in to the city under Sir Peter Salisbury's plan, that this amendment would let in by the back door. It talks about sustainability. What that means for Sir Peter Salisbury is quite simple: expansion. That's what he means. And today we have heard, finally, that that is what the leader will support. So the final thing, I'd just like, and it's been said by colleagues, the leader said in his speech that we would have a say in this chamber before it is submitted. Point Roman numeral 6, it makes it quite clear. This council notes that submission to be made by government in November 2025 is a matter for cabinet. We will not get a say. Okay? If this amendment passes, this is the last time that members in this chamber, other than the cabinet, will have a say on this matter. This is so important to us. It is so important to my residents. People voted overwhelmingly around the edge of the city against the expansion of the city. You're our leader. Let's protect the people everywhere, the people on the boundaries, the people in my ward, my neighbours, all of whom live in the county. They love the county. They agree it's a beautiful place. and they don't want to be dragged into the city against their will. They want our support, they deserve our support. Let's give them our support and send a message to the world that we will not allow an expansion of the city.
Thank you, Mr. Poland. Mr. Charlesworth.
Thank you. They say politics gets in the way of good decisions. It's possibly the case here. I never had Mrs. Taylor down as a femme fatale, but at the start of this process, she clearly led Sir Peter along to the expansion of the city, and that is what Mr. Harrison and his group have inherited now, and you seem to be running with it. All credit to Mr. Harrison. Your speech was a good one. You made your points well. No problem there. But we're not here to prop up the Labour government. We're not here to prop up the city either. We're here to support our residents. And I do agree with the referendum proposal, whether it's us or whoever. If 97% of the people in that referendum say no to the city and the government choose to ignore it, then they're bigger fools than I take them for.
Thank you, Mr. Charlesworth. Mrs. Taylor, you have the right reply.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I will just start by just saying I'll just ignore all the personal insults and attacks on me. If that's all you've got, then just carry on. I've got a very thick skin. So, yeah, if that's all you can throw at me, just carry on. I think I will just repeat what I said right at the beginning when I moved the motion. All the leaders across all political parties at the meeting I was in on the 7th of January, all of the leaders in that room agreed to explore a city expansion. So accusing me of changing my mind and no one else is just utter rubbish. All leaders across all political parties agreed to explore that, and that's what we wrote to the government on, based on that meeting. So I need to make that really, really clear. So I changed my mind when more information became available and evidence presented itself to me. When the devolution paper was published in mid-December to the 7th of January or the 10th of January when we needed to submit to the government, was a very short period of time. We didn't have long to discuss it. So I have now changed my view. That's what I stood and campaigned on. That's what I was elected on. And I don't see changing your mind as a sign of weakness. I see it as a sign of strength, and I make no apology for that. So while Reformer are flying bits of paper around like flags that they like to do, I have sight of a private message on Twitter that was sent from the Deputy Leader. I've gone more up class, I've gone digital. On Twitter from the Deputy Leader, Mr. Bone, sent on the 11th of July. And I quote, "Good idea calling that extraordinary meeting. Hashtag stop Salisbury." I feel like I'm on Love Island with hashtags, but I have evidence of that if anyone wants to see it. So it seems like Mr. Bone has changed his mind between the 11th of July and now, which is a quite short period of time. So, you know, let's stop all that political footballing stuff and insults across people. Do it to me, I'll do it back to you. It's not needed in this chamber. As all's been said, who's been childish? Certainly not me. The leader has said that the council, full council, will decide. That's what's in our motion, so why they're not supporting it, I don't know. But his amendment, as been noted in the final point, says that Cabinet will decide. So he obviously hasn't read the amendment that's been written for him. So rule number one is to read your paperwork before you come into a meeting to make sure you're clear on what you have. I'd be grateful if the leader could send me the information that he's got from officers on the cost of calling this meeting, because 5k to 7k when all the officers are here working in the office anyway just seems a ridiculous figure to me. And Mr. Harrison, as we're discussing private meetings, quoted me 10 grand when I was in the meeting with him when he tried to stop this extraordinary meeting going ahead. So I'd like that information before I put in the FOI, which I will probably do anyway, just to get that, because I think that's just an absolute ridiculous figure. And I agree with Mr. Mayor when he says that's what we're elected to do, is debate things in this chamber. So, you know, I don't know what more I can say, but I won't be supporting this amendment. If they want to be childish games, that's absolutely fine, but we're here supporting our residents. The point of the referendum, yeah, if we want to hold it, but there's comments here saying it won't hold any weight, maybe it does, But I'd be interested in the cost of that as well, so I'd appreciate some feedback on what it would cost this council or the city council to hold a referendum. You know, I think that would be good for the people, but it's the cost of it and what weight that would hold on government. I think we need that information before we go down that route. So that's all I've got to say, but I won't be supporting this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Taylor. I'm going to be closing that's the closing argument on that. So basically, I'm now going to move to take a vote on the amendment. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So as 5 members have stood up to indicate they would like a recorded vote in accordance with the Council standing order in the usual way, I'm going to read out your names and ask you to indicate whether you're voting for or against the amendment moved by Mr. Harrison and seconded by Mr. Squires. So, Mr. Abbott.
I'm for.
Mr. Bailey.
Against.
Dr. Bloxham.
For.
Mr. Bohm.
For.
Mr. Bools. Mrs. Bottomley.
Against.
Mr. Bradshaw. Mr. Bray.
Against.
Mrs. Broadley.
Against.
Miss Butler.
For.
Mr. Chapman. Mr. Charlesworth. Mr. Cook.
For.
Mr. Crook.
For.
Mrs. Danks.
For.
Mr. Durrani.
Against.
Mr. England.
For.
Mr. Fowler.
For.
Mr. Galton.
Against.
Mr. Gamble.
Against.
Ms. Gray. Mr. Grimley.
Against.
Mr. Hamilton Gray.
For.
Mr. Dan Harrison.
For.
Mr. Paul Harrison.
For.
Dr. Hill.
Against.
Mr. Holt.
Against.
Mr. Innes.
For.
Mr. King. Mrs. Knight.
For.
Mr. Lovegrove.
Against.
Mr. MacDonald.
For.
Mr. Meelan.
Against.
Mr. Mear. Mr. Morris.
For.
Mr. Mullaney.
Against.
Mr. O'Shea.
Against.
Mr. Orson. Mr. Page. Mrs. Page. Mrs. Pendlebury. Mr. Piper. Mr. Poland. Mr. Pugsley. Mr. Rikiki. Mr. Robinson.
For.
Mr. Rudkin. Mrs. Seaton. Mr. Smith.
Against.
Mr. Squires.
For.
Mrs. Taylor.
Against.
Mr. Thorpe. Mr. Tilbury. Mr. Walker.
Against.
And Mr. Whitford. Mr. Mear. Twenty-two, 24. Yeah. So 22 for and 24 against. So the amendment fails.
The fors are 22, the against are 24, so the amendment fails. Thank you. The amendment has not been passed. We will now take a vote on the original motion. Does anyone who hasn't spoken on the original motion wish to do so? Mr. Fowler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To me, this is about putting aside politics from a personal perspective. I think we all agree on a general opposition to an expansion of the city into county territory. But I'd like to commend Mr. Meir actually for recognising the need for balance when it comes to this, but also when it comes to the pragmatism of the situation. What's important is, and it's demonstrated by the amount of people here today, is people deserve a say. We want to actually be able to have a seat at the table and be able to decide the fate of the county and its borders. So, you know, sitting on our hands, as our leader said, isn't the right way of going about it, because, I mean, I'm from Harbour District Council, and when they asked for a delay to the proceedings for the deadline of November, they were told that in no uncertain terms, if they couldn't come up with a proposal, they would receive a visit from Westminster with a pencil and a ruler in hand. So, to me, this isn't a question about disagreeing over principle, because I think we do agree on that. What it is about is how we actually deal with that, and I think it would be short-sighted to basically do nothing about it. And that's what I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you. I think there was some from this side a bit earlier on. I'm just being fair. Thank you, Mrs. Taylor. Thank you. Okay, we now vote on the original motion.
Yeah, again, we ask for a name vote.
Thank you. So,
recorded vote. Thank you.
As before, I'm going to read out your name. This time, remember, the vote is on the substantive motion moved by Mrs. Taylor and seconded by Mr. Poland. Mr. Abbott.
Against.
Mr. Bailey.
For.
Dr. Bloxham.
Against.
Mr. Bohm.
Against.
Mr. Bools. Mrs. Bottomley.
For.
Mr. Bradshaw. Mr. Bray. Mrs. Broadley. Miss Butler.
Against.
Mr. Chapman. Mr. Charlesworth. Mr. Cook.
Against.
Mr. Crook.
Against.
Mrs. Danks. Mr. Durrani. Mr. England.
I'm against.
Mr. Fowler.
Against.
Mr. Gorton. Mr. Gamble. Ms. Gray. Mr. Grimley.
For.
Mr Hamilton Gray.
Against.
Mr Dan Harrison. Mr Paul Harrison.
Against.
Dr Hill. Mr Holt. Mr Innes. Mr King. Mrs Knight. Mr Lovegrove. Mr MacDonald. Mr Meelan.
For.
Mr Mia. Mr Morris. Mr Mullaney.
For.
Mr O'Shea.
For.
Mr Orson. Mr Page. Mrs Page. Mrs Pendlebury. Mr Piper. Mr Poland. Mr Pugsley. Mr Rikiki. Mr Robinson.
Against.
Mr Rudkin. Mrs Seaton. Mr Smith. Mr Squires.
Against.
Mrs Taylor. Mr Thorpe. Mr Tilbury. Mr Walker. And Mr Whitford. Thank you.
Okay, we've got 23 for, 22 against. So the motion is carried. That brings the meeting to a close. Thank you so much, members, for your attendance today, and in particular the public. It's really good to see. Thank you.